Singapore has committed an additional 33 billion Sing dollars to help mitigate the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Fortitude Budget is the government's fourth package to be rolled out in 2 months, bringing the total stimulus close to $100 billion. That's nearly 20% of the country's GDP. Singapore President Halimah Yacob has given her in-principle support for the government to withdraw $31 billion from past reserves to fund the budget. And for a closer look, we're joined by Kurt Wee, President of the Association of Small and Medium Enterprises. Kurt, thanks for joining us this evening. So let's look at this $33 billion Fortitude Budget announced this afternoon on supporting businesses and saving jobs. Are the measures for targeted businesses enough, do you think?
I think the measures that have been announced today in the Fortitude Budget is very, very spot on into what the industry is really needing. For a start, there is an extension of JSS 75% to the month of June. That's clear recognition about the need for businesses to sort of regroup, get their operations in order, don't try to rush into things, get your safe distancing, health and measures, practices in place. And I think, that particular message is very, very important for businesses to not take 3 steps forward, two steps back, but to set out and restart properly and stably. So the GSS is going to be really, really helpful for businesses. There's also the move to implement, on the rental waivers, what I call a 2+2, 1+1. So for the commercial tenants, you've got the government shouldering 2 months of rental waivers and the landlords shouldering 2 months of rental. And then for the non-commercial SME tenants, you're looking at a total of 2 months of rental assistance. This sort of really assists businesses in putting into context this first half year of battle that they've been facing, which really started in February, and it's really going to be quite painful right up to the end of June. And it sort of put in context some of the losses that they have been suffering from, and all these measures that have come on board to assist them, give them room to regroup, breathe, and plan for the second half of the year. I think there's still an uphill battle in the second half of the year. It's very important that all the various stakeholders in the whole ecosystem work together hand in hand and ride this through.
Kurt, is it just an issue of financial help? Will money solve the problems faced by SMEs? And is there more to it than that? And what else do they need?
I think if you look at it, it's not just the financial help, because the landscape on COVID, it's really not going to go away for likely the next 12 months or 18 months. So there's a lot of rethinking that businesses have to do. There's a lot of pivoting that businesses have to do. That's why you see the push for digitalisation, the push for transformation, so that even though when they pivot, they try to find new lines of revenue, it may not make up for the fall of what they've suffered, but at least they have to start to reposition themselves, because business is not going to be as usual as well. And I think we have to also look at we have to recognize some of the measures that have been introduced for some of the non-frontline sectors. So JSS have also been extended for the construction sector up to 75%. I think that's clear recognition that some of the sectors actually are hurting very badly. They have levy waivers and levy rebate right up to the whole month of June and half month of July. But I think this particular sector we have to watch a bit more closely, because the construction sector is really not going to be able to sort of get back into normal operations probably towards mid or late July. And even when they do, they can't hit half the capacity of what they used to do. So for the construction sector, there might be a need to look at a bit more help, because there's a huge cost there. When they can't operate, they can't bill, it's a cash flow business. They're bleeding quite badly. So financing is important, but I also want to comment on the COVID-19 temporary relief bill, that actually have worked hand in hand with all the Ministry of Finance measures to sort of give businesses a 6-month breathing room so that they can regroup and not worry about counterparty actions against them. And this is really, really important for businesses in looking and taking stock of the means that they have, how bad their situation is, and how they're going to ride through this storm. So, the message is in this Fortitude budget is very heartening. I think businesses have been really giving us very good, positive feedback the whole afternoon and evening. And it really reminds me that we ought to be thankful for the decades of prudence that we have the means to be able to do this and have this means to ride through this storm.
Right, but then DPM also did say that the government cannot shore up businesses indefinitely. So what determines the survivors? You mentioned that some of them will have to reposition their businesses.
Well, you can't save everybody. So this 6 months is going to be an important time frame whereby businesses will assess, and those that can remain viable and continue to save jobs and thrive beyond COVID. I don't think they're going to be able to make money, but it's a question of how they're going to ride through COVID. Some will have to be rationalized. Some will have to come back and fight another day. And in that particular instance, I don't think we can save everybody, but I think we should really use this period of time to push further transformation. And I think there is a lot of organized business group that is really rethinking their business model, thinking about how they can build resilience and sustainability. I think Singapore enterprise eventually will come out stronger, but at this point in time, we've got to hold on to each other to ride through this storm.
Yeah, Kurt, we're going to be slowly moving into sort of the new normal, if you like, post-circuit breaker. Next week, things will start easing. Businesses will understandably be keen, but also cautious as they reopen. How fast should companies drive their operations when they reopen? And what's the most critical for the businesses that are not included in phase 1 of the recovery?
The most critical thing as companies come out of circuit breaker really is not to try and rush in and try and throw a sale or try and grab as much turnover as you can. Because, you've got to plan for the next 12 to 18 months. It's not about how soon can I open after circuit breaker, after 2nd of June. It's going to be how sound footing you're going to have in all the health and safety measures, safe distancing. If you have a lot of manpower, how you're going to do the cohorting measures, how you're going to transport your workforce. All these are going to matter, not just for your own business, for your workforce, but also for your customers as well, so that you don't have a business disruption. Because when you have a business disruption, it's not just yourself, it's actually you impacting the whole ecosystem as well. So, shutting down or putting a halt to things is easy, but restarting is not easy. And, it's an issue that everybody has to put in their effort. We are seeing a lot of effort from organized industry group, optical care shops that are really coming together to really build robust SOPs together with Enterprise Singapore. We've just had a meeting with a spa and wellness group just yesterday, and about 100, 200 of them are really coming together to look at how they can help themselves to develop good practices so that they have sustainable practice going forward, and it's an environment that is safe for both their employees and also their customers. So the message really is, look at the landscape, look at how you're going to have good practice within your businesses, because it's not just how soon you open. You have to be sustainable. You have to be facing the next 12, 18 months.
All right, Mayor, thanks for your thoughts this evening. Kurt Wee, President of the Association of Small and Medium Enterprises.